Hey y'all, first official video on YouTube, so excited for that. Lots more to come. Let's get it started. Let's dive in. I've got a really interesting thing to talk about today, and that is Arkansas and its head coaching decision. So Arkansas football fired Sam Pittman after week 5 this year. He got 5 games through, was 2-3, lost to Memphis, lost to Notre Dame, lost to Ole Miss. He got fired after that Notre Dame game. He was 32-34, time to move on. He'd had success, but just couldn't keep it consistent. So athletic director Hunter Yurachek and the rest of the athletic department decided to move on. And, they did it early enough in the season to where they could get somebody that would really elevate the program potentially. Arkansas didn't do that. They essentially just hired another Sam Pittman and Memphis head coach Ryan Silverfield. Silverfield has been good. I'm not going to discredit him for that. I'm not going to discredit him. He's won. He's never had a losing record. He's never finished with a losing record. The worst he's gone is 6-6. He spent a long time at Memphis. He was the offensive coordinator there under Mike Norvell. He would end up actually coaching the Cotton Bowl because Norvell left to take the job at Florida State. And Memphis got killed in that game for what it's worth. That's the only bowl game that Ryan Silverfield has lost. But they've been to a bowl game every year of his career. One of them got canceled, the 2021 Aloha Bowl. That got canned because of COVID. But he's won all of his other bowl games, including last year. They went 11-2, and they finished ranked inside the AP poll. They beat West Virginia in the Frisco Bowl. Ryan Silverfield is a solid head coach. Good, not great. Now, I'm an Ole Miss student, and, I woke up yesterday morning, and it was before the news that Pete Golding was going to be the permanent, interim and then permanent head coach for the football team. And I was thinking to myself, who in the world are we going to hire at head coach? Alex Golesh is at Auburn. John Sumrall is at Florida. Eric Morris is at Oklahoma State. James Franklin is at Virginia Tech. Who are we going to hire? Ryan Silverfield was really the first person that came to mind, and I really was not enthused by that idea. He's never finished better than 3rd in the American. Got knocked out of contention early last year with a loss to Navy, which was his most successful season. And they had a real shot this year. It was a boat race between Memphis, South Florida, and North Texas, and even Navy for a while, over who was going to take home the American Athletic crown. Memphis is 22 in the country and entering the game undefeated in what should be an easy win over rival UAB in Birmingham in the Battle for the Bones. Awesome, super underrated rivalry on a side note. 3.5 hours away from one another on Interstate 22. Very underrated rivalry. Good basketball in that rivalry too. But Memphis lost that game after firing head coach Trent Dilfer literally earlier that week. Alex Mortensen is the interim head coach and beats the number 22 team in the country in a rivalry game. Up until this past weekend, that was the only other game that UAB had won. They beat Tulsa this past weekend. They finished 4-8. But I'm not thrilled with that hire for Arkansas. They are an SEC rival. I should want them to fail, but I have a soft spot for Arkansas. It's a very passionate fan base. They've got history. They've got a national championship from 1964. They used to run the table in the old Southwest Conference. Legendary matchups with Texas A&M and Texas. They were a lot of fun to watch at times growing up. Darren McFadden and Felix Jones, one of the best backfields I've ever watched. It was a little bit before my time, but YouTube exists. They were insane there. Alex Collins even. He essentially ended our season in 2015. Well, I shouldn't say ended, but he kept Ole Miss out of an SEC championship game in 2015 with a crazy backwards, lateral catch from Hunter Henry on 4th and 25 in overtime. Arkansas is a program that is always so close, and it seems like they're just missing something. And I thought it might be the head coach because Sam Pittman has had success, but it's never been sustained. And maybe they just needed to swing for the fences and go grab somebody, as I would call them, a group of 5 darling. The Alex Goleshes and the John Sumralls of the world. The guys that succeed at a group of 5 school and get their shot at a struggling Power 5 program. Well, Arkansas didn't do that. I don't consider Ryan Silverfield to be a darling. I would see him as a coordinator in the Power Five, but I wouldn't see him as a head coach for the sole fact that he's never won anything outside of bowl games. And Memphis is a program that has real money and support behind it, which is rare because Memphis is a basketball school. Derrick Rose, 2010. Mario Chalmers, with a heartbreaker for them, going to send the game to overtime in the national championship game. Like, Memphis is a terrific basketball program. Penny Hardaway is the head coach of that team. He played there. So Ryan Silverfield has basically just maintained a foundation that was built by two different head coaches before him. It really started with Justin Fuente and Paxton Lynch at quarterback. And then it was Mike Norvell, and now it's Ryan Silverfield. And he's maintained it, and he's done a good job of that, but he hasn't elevated that program anywhere. And I don't expect him to do the same thing at Arkansas. But Arkansas fans are upset over the hire, and I understand why. I've just told you why I'm not thrilled about Silverfield. But it's who Arkansas fans want that bothers me. They want Bobby Petrino back. He's their offensive coordinator, and he's been there now. This is his second season. And for those that are unfamiliar, Bobby Petrino used to be the head coach at Arkansas, 2010, 2011, those two seasons that I mentioned, 10-win seasons. They won the Cotton Bowl in 2011. Well, it all comes crashing down. All the momentum that was built gets thrown to the wayside because it turns out Bobby Petrino was having an extramarital affair with a woman in her mid-20s, and he got in a motorcycle accident with her and flipped it. And there's a very famous picture of him sitting there in a neck brace in an Arkansas rain jacket with a ball cap on, face splotchy and torn to pieces in a press conference. And he lied that he was having an affair, of course, cover it up. But he covered it up so much that he left that woman on the side of the road and let her get help herself. Bobby Petrino called 911, got taken away, didn't tell them that he was, with somebody else. That woman was unconscious and had to get herself sorted out and get the attention that she needed. And thank the Lord she's okay. But, Bobby Petrino is not exactly the best person in the world. And Arkansas fans are irate that they didn't hire him back as head coach. And I think that would have ended in disaster because he's a guy that's burned you once before, that's proven that he's not exactly the most stand-up guy in the world. And here's the thing. Bobby Petrino was the interim head coach of this team. And he was using an offense and a roster that he helped build. A program that he was already working at. He was just now in charge of making all of the decisions. And he couldn't do that. Arkansas went 2-10 this year. They didn't win a single game in SEC play. They beat Arkansas State in week 2 and had not won a game since then. So the notion that Bobby Petrino is going to be exactly like he was, 15 years ago is insane because he's not. He had the opportunity to succeed this year, and he didn't. Fresh head coach, a familiar name. Maybe he turns things around for Arkansas after that brutal loss to Notre Dame. Nope, they don't win another game, and they lose some really close games, and they play well, they play teams close, but they ultimately can't finish anything out. And this is a talented roster. Taylon Green at quarterback is one of the most dynamic people in the country, far and away. I think Arkansas football is now stuck between a rock and a hard place because they had no one else to hire. So Arkansas fans are irate with Hunter Yurachek, the athletic director, and I can understand because they didn't really make an effort, it seems, to land an Eric Morris or a James Franklin. But I think that they were also holding out hope for the notion that Rhett Lashley would come home because Rhett Lashley, the head coach at SMU, is from Arkansas. He played at Arkansas, has had tremendous success at a, pretty down in the dirt SMU squad that he's brought to incredible heights. They were in the college football playoff last year. They're in the ACC now. They were in the conference championship game and were a Clemson kick return away from winning the ACC. So there was hope that maybe Rhett Lashley ends up deciding to come over and come home to Arkansas, but he didn't do that. You can speak ill of Hunter Yurachek, but I think he made the right decision in going external and getting Ryan Silverfield because Ryan Silverfield will fail, but he will leave Arkansas in a much more likable and agreeable place from a media and PR standpoint than Bobby Petrino, because I don't know for certain, but there's always the opportunity that Bobby Petrino gets into another scandal, but he, will also tank Arkansas football because he's already done it, and that leaves them in a terrible spot. At least when you get rid of Silverfield and he crashes and burns, you're not the villain of college football for giving him a second chance, because people have largely overlooked that Bobby Petrino is back outside of the Arkansas fan base. But that's my take. As an outside, objective viewer, this is my take on the Arkansas situation. I think they did the right thing with what they could have done. They chose the lesser of two evils. And you know what? I hope I'm wrong. No one likes to be wrong, but I hope I am. And I hope that Ryan Silverfield succeeds at Arkansas. I just have a hard time thinking that he will. But that's my take. Thank you so much for watching. Arkansas fans, let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. I'm not from Arkansas. I don't have family there. I don't go to school there. I don't know anybody that does. There's a lot about a school that you don't know, and you will not be able to know just from outside research. So I know college football and I can do my research, but there's a certain element that I can miss as an outside viewer. So let me know what I'm missing, if I'm missing anything, and what y'all think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.